Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, people were posting yesterday and announcing that Carnival had an oil leak in Grand Turk cruise port, which would be a disaster. Not quite what happened. We also have a big milestone, if you will, for Royal Caribbean and Carnival Cruise Lines with their next ships that are on the way. We have a story again of somebody falling ill on a cruise ship and an insurance warning. And then just to top it off, let's talk about the Sun Princess. Just showed us what their entertainment's going to be on board, and if you're like me, you were a little worried that it would be the same shows that we see on all the other princess ships. We didn't have to worry because they're all new shows. So in Grand Turk, we had everybody was getting back on board, got back on board the ship, and there was a power failure on the Carnival Magic. Happened, maybe lasted about a minute or so, minute and a half, but apparently it was enough for something to go wrong with the startup of the switchover and everything that the ship emitted what looked like an oil slick off the side of the ship. Now, a power failure should have nothing to do with oil, and it was later found out it wasn't oil, it was just basically soot that was stored out, like from an exhaust. It just shouldn't have done it out like this, like your car would do on snow if your car has a little bit of a burn. And you could see that slick through the water, and people were concerned it was oil, but it wasn't oil, it was soot. And in fact, Carnival did their own cleanup with their own crew. They sent out the ship, the boats and everything. They did not leave port until they cleaned everything up themselves, which is, you know, what you should be doing. Now, will that affect the Carnival Magic's next itinerary? No, because it was a relatively short trip over to their next port of call today, and they had more than enough time to get to the cruise port and have really no effect on passengers. The only real effect was they were a little longer in port and they couldn't open the casinos. Okay, let's talk about a Perth man who was on one of those vacations that I kind of really think about, like Australia, down into the Fiji area and those islands. It's like beautiful, beautiful areas. Well, he became a little bit sick on there, and he ended up becoming bedridden. And after being in bed for a few days and seems to be getting worse, the doctors and everything decided, you know, hey, maybe you have to get checked out. They suspected something to do with the gallbladder, and he just wasn't getting any better. He was achy, he was sweating really profusely, and they actually, this was on the Majestic Princess, and they actually sped up the motors on the cruise ship to get to port early so they could disembark this gentleman to a hospital, and he will be medically flown home, hopefully today or yesterday. I didn't see the report for yesterday, but I think probably today, back to Australia to receive the medical care he needs, because they didn't have, obviously, equipment like that on board a cruise ship or even the small cruise ports that they're visiting in Samoa. So again, this gentleman does have insurance. That's the good news. Now, the family's a little worried that they won't cover the insurance, but as long as you have medical evacuation, you are covered. That will be covered. The only caveat that can possibly come up in something situation like that is if the person had a history of gallbladder infection or something like that and went on this trip within becoming like a 3-month stabilization period, where if there's no changes to anything for 3 months and you're stable in your condition, that's considered you're stable enough to travel. in a lot of cases. But there's no story of that he has a history of this. This was a surprise to the family. So hopefully he gets back and everything's okay. And I just wanted to state once again, he has travel insurance, and I will bang that drum as hard as I can that whenever you travel, please have travel insurance with evacuation insurance. Also, by the way, if you keep on saying that my card covers me and you're getting up there a little bit in age like I am, check the dates that those cards cover you for things like evacuation and all that, because some of the cards stop at a certain age. That's right, some cards stop at 65. You're no longer covered. So please read the fine print and make sure. They might say you're covered medically, but then, oh, by the way, you have to be under this certain age, just as a heads up. Carnival and Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean has just sent out the Icon of the Seas for her second set of trials before heading over here to North America for her inaugural sailing in January. That's a big milestone. Jubilee just made herself down the river from Germany, and she's getting ready to have her final fittings and get ready for her sea trials as well before coming back to North America again later on this year. So good news for both of those ships. If anybody waiting for those cruise ships and anticipation, they look to be right on track for delivery. So it doesn't look like those inaugural sailings are going to be canceled. It looks like they're all going to be going forward, which is good news. And finally, I want to talk about the Sun Princess. We have a lot of people on that Sun Princess group cruise with us next year on December 7th. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from insurance notifications to what happens if you do have to be medically evacuated, to hints and tips and tricks and things that might just save you a little bit of money and keep you up to date with all things on the ships coming out, I hope you'll join us here on the channel. We try and keep it as lighthearted as possible and have a little bit of fun while we do so. And again, doesn't cost anything, but boy, it really helps the channel out, and I really would appreciate it. Okay. The Sun Princess has just announced that it's a lineup for entertainment. And first off, we have the brand new theater configuration where it's a round theater, but it's like the old keyhole. And at one end, there's two sets of seats like this that can be removed. So it can be kind of a traditional stage right there at one point. They are bringing out all brand new shows for this stage, for four brand new shows. And if you think, well, they're doing this configuration because now they're just going to have like Cirque du Soleil shows in there like other cruise lines do. No, because in the dome area, that's where you're going to get 3 other brand new performing shows in the dome, which is going to have Cirque du Soleil type performances and that in there. So they're not only going to have theater shows now, they're also going to have dome theater shows now, which is going to make it very entertaining. However, that's what I find in the celebrity class ships, the Edge class. They have 2 big theaters. They have the theater and they have another stage show in the back, and you have to kind of time yourself if you want to see all of them. So I'll be very curious, and you know what? It kind of makes you want to take a longer cruise to make sure you can catch all the brand new entertainment. And of course, that goes along with all the extra entertainment that's going to be in the Piazza with live music, not to mention the Princess Live shows that are going on, etc. I think the ship's going to be packed with entertainment. And if that's the case, I think I'm going to like the ship. But I'll find out because I'm on her in February. I also found out my friends from Let's Go Travel that I met briefly on the Vlogger cruise, they're going to be there as well. Apparently, I just saw yesterday on one of their videos. Can't wait to see them there. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a live stream together when we're on there, and I'm sure we'll get together and have a fun time and some talk. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.